Hello everybody. So in this video we are going to be covering section 9.1. This is talking about circles. If you get your book and you open to page 401. Okay, so 401. You will find some formulas that we're going to be using in this section right here. And those are the distance formula and the midpoint formulas. So the formulas actually are on page 402, and we're going to use those two formulas on page 402 to figure out what is the distance of a segment and what is the midpoint between two segments. Okay, and we're gonna be doing all those problems here. Well, not all. You're gonna be doing half of the problems for me. All right, so we're going to use the distance formula. It says here, find the distance between each pair of points. So in the book, we are given a very cool formula that comes from the Pythagorean theorem. Usually when I'm teaching this class, I usually go over that and what that is, but right now, all you have to know is the distance formula is right here. And I'm going to write it down for you. It's x2 minus x1. So, well, first of all, given points. So when you're given 2 points, let's just say the points x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. Okay, given those 2 points, the distance formula is the following: x2 minus x1 squared minus, or actually plus, y2 minus y1 squared. Where can you find this? On page 402. Okay, that is the distance formula. It says in the book, distance formula, the points between those 2 points. All right, so this distance formula is going to help us find the distance of this right here. Okay, how long is that? Well, let me do something for you guys. If I were to do this, don't I have a triangle right there? And then this will be A, and this will be B, and this will be C. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This will be 8. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 again. Do you guys remember this? A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Don't you think I'm able to find C? Well, if I find C, that would be a squared plus b squared, the square root of a squared plus b squared. That is exactly what the distance formula is. As you can see, those two are very similar. So the distance formula actually comes from the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, now I do want to use the distance formula here. So let's identify our points that we have in here. My first point that I have, well, first of all, is -3, and let's see, and 3. And then my other point, well, that looks like it's 5 and -5. So I'm going to plug that into my formula. So my points are -3 and 3, and 5 and -5. So first of all, pick what's going to be the first point and pick what's going to be the second point. Doesn't really matter. This could be the second point and this could be the first point. Or this could be the first point and this could be the second. As long as you are consistent, you will be fine. All right, so let's just say that this is the first point and this is my second point. So let's plug in. So first of all, the x2, that 2 right there, is the x from the second point. So the x from the second point is right there. It's that 5 right there. That's my second point. Well, that's what I decided to be the second point. So that'll be 5 minus, well, we have a negative 3 right there. So minus negative 3 squared plus, then we have y2. Well, y2 is negative 5. So I plug in negative 5 minus, we have y1, which is 3 squared. We got this and this. We have two minuses together. Remember, we have to do parentheses first. So that will actually add to 8. Because this and this turns into a positive. And then we have negative 5 plus negative 8. That will be 8. Guess what, guys? If I would have solved that, that would have gotten 8 squared plus 8 squared. It's the same thing. Same thing. So we got 64 from there. Negative 8 times negative 8 is also 64. We add those two together. Okay. And then we get 128. Now I do want to simplify that answer. Let's think of perfect squares for this. I know that, for example, 64 times 2 will give me 128. And the square root of 64 is 8. So the answer is 8 times square root of 2. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do a third one here. You're going to do the second one there. Same idea. Use that distance formula given on page 402. I'll do number 3. And I'll explain that one. So number 3, our distance formula, once again. I'm going to write it down. It's going to be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, let's see what our points are. My first point is 0 and then 1. Then my other point is going to be 5 and negative 4. So this will be x1 and y1, and this will be x2 and then y2. Okay, you could pick it the other way around, doesn't matter, you will still get the same answer. Alright, so we have x2 is 5 minus x1, which is 0. We have y2 is negative 4 minus 1. We got 5 squared. We got negative 5 in here as well. We got 25 plus 25 there. That gave us 50. Let's simplify that. We can write that as 25 times 2. Take out the 25 as a 5. And that's what we get there. Okay, 5 square root of 2. Alright, you will do number 4 now. Now in here, they're actually giving us the points. They're not giving us the graph. So I think that makes it a little bit easier. Let's just say that this is x1, this is y1. We'll make this one x2 and y2. And then again, we will use our distance formula. So we have x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. What am I gonna do actually, since I have this special tool, is I'm going to erase and then plug in. So x2 right here, it's 0. And then x1 is 4. Now y2, it's -1. And then y1, it's 7. That's pretty cool, huh? So now we got 4 squared. We got -1 plus -7 is -8. We got 16 plus 64. That should give you 80. Is that right? Yeah, 80. And now we want to simplify that square root. The way we want to do that is break it apart. Use perfect squares. Remember, perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. So you want to break it apart in such a way that it breaks out easily. 25, 36. I guess we could use, I believe 16 times 5 is 80. 5 times 6 is... Oh yeah. So we can split this one like this, 16 times 5. So we get the square root of 16 is 4. That one gets to get out because it's a perfect square, but the 5 is going to stay inside. Alright, so that was number 5. You get to do number 6 now. Let's go ahead and do number 7. Same idea, distance formula. My distance formula is the following. That's way too much. We got x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Alright, so I'm going to use my special tool here. I'm going to erase the x2 right there. Well, first of all, let's name them. We got x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so x1 is -1. I'm sorry, x2. I was supposed to put x2 right there. So x2 is 4, and then x1 is -1. And then we have y2 is 5. Then y1 is 4. When you have two negatives like that, that actually becomes a positive. So we got 4 plus 1 is 5. Then we get 1 right there. Then we get 25 plus 1. And that should be the square root of 26, which we can't really break apart. So that will be my final answer. Okay. All right, so on the book, you're also given the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula, it's on page 402 as well. And the midpoint formula, what it is that you're trying to find the midpoint. Like for example, in this one, this will kind of be the midpoint there. Not 100% sure, but that right there could be the midpoint. All right, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the midpoint between 2 points. So what will be the midpoint between this one right here? Well, the distance, the midpoint formula is the following. It's going to be a big M for the midpoint. And we have x1. It's actually pretty easy. And it's a point. Remember, if it's midpoint, we gotta find a point. We're not finding a number or a solution, we're finding a point. And what that point is gonna be is this. It's x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, remember there is always, there's always the comma for the point. So comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, so that right there is my midpoint formula. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So first of all, what is x1? Well, x1 is -6. And then we have plus -6 as well over 2. And then we have, let's see, we have y1 plus y2. So 2 plus 1 over 2. Now -6 plus -6, that's -12 over 2, comma, and 2 plus 1, 3 over 2. You can leave your answer, so -12 divided by 2, that would be -6, and then 3 over 2. Here's two ways you can write your answer. You can leave it as a fraction, or you could also write it as a decimal, which I actually prefer, but fractions are always fine as well. Okay, so that's how you find the midpoint of a formula, of 2 points. Let me do number 11 here. Same idea. We're going to use that midpoint formula, and it's x1 plus x2 over 2. It's actually very easily to memorize. It's y1 plus y2 over 2. So x1, I will say it's 1 plus 6. So 1 plus 6 over 2. And then we have -5 plus 7 over 2. Okay, so 1 plus 6, that's 7. So it's 7 over 2 over -5 plus 7 is going to be 2. 2 over 2 is 1, so you can leave your answer as 7 over 2, comma 1, or 7 divided by 2 is actually 3.5, comma 1. Okay. All right, let's do one more and then I'll let you guys finish. So once again, the midpoint formula is going to be x1 plus x2 over 2. We have y1 plus y2 over 2 as well. We got x1, we've got 9 plus -10 over 2, and then we have -3 plus 0 over 2. Those are all going to give me decimals, so 9 plus -10 is going to be -1 over 2, comma, -3 over 2. I'm going to write those as a decimal, and it's going to be -0.5 when you use a calculator. Well, you don't really have to use a calculator, but, and then -3 over 2 is -1.5. And that right there will be your final answer. All right, so I want you guys to finish the rest of the problems, and then you're going to submit that on Canvas when you're done. All right, I'll see you guys on the next video.